Hello, my friends, and welcome to Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel. The channel where I like to talk about the good, the bad, the properties, and all we have to know about Italy. So, today I want to talk about the housing market. I want to analyze with you the prices of the properties here in Italy. So the dynamics and to judge how the situation is going overall. But then, first of all, please put like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it doesn't cost anything if you want to help and support my channel. And then please join my Facebook group that I've recently created, called Italy, a Place to Love, where I like to share anyway pictures, and I would like people to connect. And anyway, if they have questions to ask about Italy, or if they have a B&B to promote, whatever you want, you are free to share, even about your life abroad. So you are free to share. It's enough to love Italy. All right, so now let's enter into today's video. The topic is about the value of the properties. So, first of all, let's talk about what the news are reporting about the housing market. And so, the prices, it seems that are still slightly increasing. So we are not in Italy at the moment. We are not facing any. It seems like we are not facing any decrease of the property value. So this obviously makes it still a bit, let's say, unaffordable for some people who would like, for example, to buy a property in Italy or would like to buy something at a decent price, a good investment, something maybe as an investment, also to make profit about the value of the properties. Um, but so let's try to put a bit of order into this video. Let's start from the fact that, anyway, I also noticed that the prices for me are quite high, not very high, but let's say that to buy a decent house or a decent apartment, I still need to spend a good amount of money. I've noticed that the price for a property in a good condition goes from 100,000 euro and above. So then obviously 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Most of the time when I see at these prices, now, if I see a house that costs 100,000, 150,000, or 200,000 euro, let's say this is the range, and I still see renovation works to do, I always think that that might not be the right investment. Simply because the only reason why I'm saying this is because if I'm buying the property for this amount of money, and then I'm gonna put on top the renovation works, the costs of the renovation works, obviously that should increase the value of the property to the money that I also put on top of the price that I paid. So if I paid 100,000 euro and I'm gonna spend another 50,000 or I'm gonna spend another 100,000 for a renovation, then does the price of that property automatically goes to 200,000? What I've noticed is that the properties that are in need of renovation for me are extremely overpriced. simply because then when I'm gonna add on top the money for the renovation, that might not necessarily bring my house to the market, to the value of the money that I spent to buy plus the money that I spent to renovate. So again, if I spend 100,000 and I'm gonna spend another 100,000 to renovate, the value of the property should go at 200,000 euro. But then my question is, does that property go at that value? Now, in some cases, yes. There are some cases, for example, there are some cities in Italy where a renovation cost, like in Milan, Rome, Florence, and some other smaller cities. Let's say now I've been talking about quite big cities, or let's also include Naples. I would say Naples, Rome, Florence, Milan, Bologna. Then there are other smaller cities where these could also put on top the prices of the costs of the renovation to the market value of the area. So technically I'm not losing any money. So then there are some areas where if I'm buying a property to renovate and then if I'm buying a property to renovate and then I'm going to renovate that property, I can forget to get my money back, or it could become extremely, extremely hard to resell it at the money or at the price that I'm setting. Then maybe I should drop. There are, let's say, a good amount of properties that are in between 200,000, 300 and 400,000 that are fully renovated. But then my question is, are there so many buyers out there ready to buy for this amount of money? Now, obviously, in Italy, there is the Italian market. I know that for the Italian market, it's working mainly the apartments. Generally, Italian people don't want to live in the houses, maybe because they find more expensive to run, and maybe because they are in the outskirts of the town, while it would be more convenient for the transportation, for the public transports, if I'm settled in the town itself, where there are apartments. Public transportation generally is, now, if you are familiar with Italy, you know that in each town, in the surrounding area of the city center of each town, you find plenty of apartments. And that's where generally Italian people live. But it doesn't mean that apartments are much cheaper than the houses. There are some areas where the apartments sometimes are even more expensive than houses, simply because the location might be very good, and simply because there is the trend of the Italian market that is pushing anyway for apartments. Again, for Italians, it's simply completely normal to live in an apartment, which is the opposite. For example, this is the opposite by what I notice from foreigners or from expats. Expats mainly, in particular, who prefer to buy houses. So the house market in some areas, let's say, it's a bit lower than the apartment. But then if I have to add on top this renovation cost, this might not necessarily increase the value of the property for the money that I've spent. So generally, this could bring the buyer, if I see it from my point of view, could bring the buyer generally to have always a loss in case they renovate the property and in case they want to resell it. Obviously, I'm not wishing to resell a property if someone is not really in need to resell it, but let's say that many people, maybe there is not many, but there is there are few people who are buying a property, in particular expats who are buying properties, and then they might not be happy. They realize after a while that they might not be happy with what they bought, with what they purchased. Maybe they had an idea, but the reality brought them to another level. So that's why I'm always then, let's say also that a lot of expats are mainly afraid, they're a bit scared about the Italian bureaucracy, okay, that it's called the red tape. Anyway, all the things, all the obstacles that people might find, in particular when you're not a native language speaker of that country, like in like in Italy, let's say you are not a native Italian speaker, you might find yourself in the wrong hands, on top of maybe rushing to buy, simply because obviously I love Italy. Now, my recommendation is always to, let's say, it's always to rent in the beginning, or not to rent, maybe to rent, but also to try to spend a certain amount of time where you can have a normal, regular life, which might put yourself in the right position then to say, okay, is it this what I want? Is this for real? Is this what I really want? So if I spend 90 days and I start having a normal life, then I might find out that that's not really what I want. Then if there is the option to spend more time, like 180 days or even up to 1 year, that's even better. That's even better. The more time you are spending in one place, the more you understand if this is what you want. To go, for example, through all the seasons, because obviously summer is beautiful, but then autumn, or the winter, spring is also, spring and summer are beautiful, but autumn and winter might not be that beautiful as we might imagine. So I'm always recommending also to experience this period. So there is the thing that I'm always recommending to try to spend, simply to not do the wrong investment. On top of the fact that the prices are not very low, and in particular, let's say in particular, there are some houses that for the price they are sold, they're simply a robbery. That's what I'm stating now. For me, it's simply a robbery. If I go in any town around me, but any town, let's talk about the south of Italy mainly. If I go in the south of Italy and I find a lovely house that is in need of renovation, because mainly I say that 90% of the properties that are for sale here in the south of Italy, they are in need of renovation. Simply because even if they're renovated, they might not have really modern standards, so it's quite high to find new and modern standards. It's very, very hard. And simply because, again, if I'm going to spend that money, the money that I'm going to spend on the renovation, then I realize that I overpaid for the property. So I'm saying all of this because I'm expecting the prices to drop. The prices of the prices of the properties, of the houses mainly, a bit less of the apartments. That's why I might recommend maybe to buy more an apartment than a house, even if you might find yourself happier in a house than in an apartment. But the apartments are usually in better condition. They are newer, and you might pay for what the market, what the house market is. The problem here is that if I go in a town and I find a townhouse, two or three story floors, which is in beautiful house, but which is in need of renovation, I'll find out that the asking price, if it's 100 or 150,000, let's say this is the range, and then I have to add on top the renovation costs, I figure out, I will understand straight away that that house is not worth that money. And that's why, in particular in the south of Italy, we have so many houses on sale now. In any town I go, can be in Apulia, can be in Basilicata, can be in Campania region, Molise, Abruzzo. There are many houses for sale. So there are so many houses and there are not so many buyers. These obviously should push the prices lower. Now, I'm saying this, but I also want to say that there are already some properties, let's say, that have decent prices, and if the price for a property goes from 20,000 to 50,000, I can say, and it doesn't really need massive renovation works, I'd say that property can be a good investment. Simply because I'm not overspending a lot of money, and even if the house market crashes badly, I reduce my losses. In percentage, I might have the same losses if I'm spending a lot of money or if I'm spending. Let's talk about percentages. If there is a big house market crash and the prices are dropping 50%, as I always say, if I buy 1 million house, I'm gonna lose 500,000. If I buy 50,000 euro house, I lose 25,000 euro, which I prefer to lose 25,000 euro than 500,000. 500,000 I might never see again in my life to see these prices recovering, while if I'm losing 25,000 euro, I'm still the owner of the house. I might not be in need of reselling this property. So I might say, okay, I keep it for me as a holiday home, even if I don't want to live here, even if I think that maybe was the wrong investment, but okay, let's keep it as a holiday home. I might pay some fees yearly, which are not really massively killing people to pay these fees, even if it's the second this property tax that we have in Italy, IMU. Even if I have to pay that in a year, can be 200-300 euro, 400 euro, okay, but I'm still the owner of a property. So I would say, just to close the video, that I'm not happy about the house prices. I'm not happy. In particular, when I see houses that are nearly falling apart and they're still asking mad money. That's shocking. That's shocking. I understand very well that the owners don't want to lose money, or they keep selling the house at the property market rate. But again, the house maybe is in awful conditions, and for me, the owner doesn't want to lose money. Maybe they inherited this house and they want to maybe cash some money, make some even not make some profit, because in Italy, barely I see people making profit from a property, barely, unless you are very clever or smart and you are making renovation works yourself. I had some friends during the past years, during the last 20-30 years, that they were buying a property, renovating themselves, buying cheap, but they were doing this mainly with the apartments, not with the houses. The houses generally have a huge problem. that are too much expensive. What I see more realistic, the prices that I've noticed are in Italy. Then, if I have to give you one place where I see the prices really realistic, these are Abruzzo and Molise. For Abruzzo and Molise, I say that these two regions, they're not overpricing the house. They're not. Okay, let's say we are talking about a town that might not have jobs, so people are leaving. So that's why these towns, let's say, are kind of half abandoned. But give the opportunity to someone who wants to buy a holiday home or to retire in one of these lovely villages, makes it affordable and not a really big amount of money to waste. So with a small budget, can go between 20 and 50,000 euro. It's a very small budget. I mean, I'm saying if someone is complaining about 50,000 euro for a house in Italy, and maybe they come from a country where the houses cost millions or half millions, I say, no, you are totally wrong. All right. So simply because obviously also in Italy, the houses have a price. The point is to not overpay. If I go to some towns in Basilicata, in Apulia, or in Campania region, and these houses are sold for still a big amount of money that goes from, let's say, from 60, 70, 100 up to 150,000, but they're still in need of full renovation, plus towns that are depopulating. So basically you are only having a big loss. I would never recommend to spend this amount of money personally, simply because now if I don't want to mention any town, but let's talk about Basilicata, who has big depopulation problem, and many towns that are made of 1,000, 2,000, 300, 5,000 inhabitants, and half of the town, or half of the houses are for sale in a town. It's mad to ask 100,000 or 150,000 on top of a house that needs renovation, or also Sicily. So then, if I buy a house for 20,000 euro in a town that is, again, small town, center of the town, depopulating, historic center with difficult access to the town, to the house, and then buying for 20, 25, 30,000 euro. But then I need to spend 100, 150 for a renovation to make it beautiful house, to make it a beautiful house, then I'd say, no way. No way. What I notice a bit better, for example, is to buy a villa. Even if a villa, let's say I'm buying a villa for 100, 150,000 euro, and then I have to spend another 50,000, up to 50 or maximum 100,000 euro, I might bring the value to that property because we are talking about a villa. So, and a villa is always attractive to other people who have money. It's always nice to have a villa, land, olive groves, fruit trees, and so on. Maybe not far from the sea. In that case, I see it, anyway, as a kind of potential. My complaint is towards the houses in the towns, which are still asking for me crazy money for towns that are seeing the people living, difficult access. So I would like to buy houses, for example. Now I bought here and I spent 30,000 euro in Montemilone. I'm happy enough, zero renovation work, only very, very small works, freshly painting a wall, that's it, nothing major. Okay, I changed the gas boiler, that cost me 2,000 euro. more efficient, newer. But again, even if I still paid nothing. But if in Montemilone there is a house selling for 100,000 euro, and then I still have to renovate, then I'd say that is not at all a good investment. I will never see this money back. Also because if it might come, hypothetically, an house market crash, then I can say bye-bye forever to my money, even if I want to resell. So, and then we will find the vultures. And anyway, not only the vultures, but again, then we might find that your property, you want to sell it, that can be listed over there for years, for sale for years. And then, anyway, so always be careful, think twice, think 3 times, and analyze properly if this is really what you want, and if this amount of money that you're going to spend, you might technically get it back in case you're selling. All right, my friends, thank you for watching, and I'll see you here on Italy A Place to Love YouTube channel to my next video. Bye!